We begin with breaking news this morning. Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies are out in southwest Albuquerque right now searching for a suspect who they believe has a gun. It's in the area of Rio Bravo and Del Rio.
And Rio Bravo is closed now in both directions between Coors and Del Rio. You're asked to avoid that area if possible.
Now, we also just spoke with APS officials who say there is now bus service for Barcelona Elementary. There's not, rather, bus service for Barcelona Elementary because of the scene. The school is on lockdown at this time. They will be starting late, but they're not sure. APS officials are not sure what time because they'll have to be notified by officials that the area is safe for students to return to school.
Deputies tell us they did have a guy shoot at them, then crashed his car. He took off running. They're looking for him now. We do have a crew on the scene. We'll have more as it becomes available, so stay with KRQE this morning. Meantime, happening today, the person responsible for overseeing major changes to the Albuquerque Police Department could be approved by a federal judge.
Yeah, the city and feds have agreed on a monitor who's a former officer. His name is James Ginger.
I hope we can build a relationship, get this process underway, get you, as they say, certified, and let you move on with managing the department. And that is our goal, to be a neutral assessor of progress. That's what we would like to do. It's what we will do.
Now, Ginger is a professor and former officer who's led reforms at departments across the country. Ginger's consulting firm, Public Management, has a lot of experience under its belt in fixing problems at law enforcement agencies. Ginger served as a monitor with the New Jersey State Police and with Pittsburgh PD. The mayor says the reform process won't be fast or inexpensive.
Dr. Ginger and his team are approximately $1.3 million for the first 2 years. And then hopefully, if we can stay on track, to see that significantly drop in years 3 and 4.
A judge still has to sign off on the monitor. There's a court hearing scheduled for today. We have the specific proposal and ideas offered by Public Management on our website, krqe.com.
We're staying on top of the scheduled sentencing for former Rio Arriba County Sheriff Tommy Rodella. That's expected to happen today. This comes after a federal judge denied his request for a new trial on Tuesday. Rodella was convicted of violating a man's civil rights during a traffic stop. His attorneys met with the judge, saying they were not provided with important evidence, but prosecutors refuted those claims, and the judge told them all to come back tomorrow for his sentence hearing. Rodella faces between 7 and 17 years in prison. He remains locked up awaiting sentencing. The charges against a man accused of causing a big gun scare near IMCOR last month have been dropped, but police are saying not so fast. Andrew Godsey appeared in court yesterday to face several charges for allegedly roaming around Sandia Labs with an airsoft rifle and pistol that both looked real. But the officer who filed the charges didn't show up.
Mr. Godsey, what that means is this case is dismissed but is without prejudice. If the officer decides to refile the matter, if she secures the cooperation of her witnesses and refiles the matter, she may do so within a certain period of time.
Turns out that officer had a family emergency. APD says the detective will refile the charges first thing this morning. Godsey is also facing an aggravated assault charge in another case where he allegedly pulled a gun on a homeless man. That case is being handled separately.
Lawmakers are back at the Roundhouse in Santa Fe. New faces, new issues, and a new change in power will surely make for big-time battles over the next 2 months. As with any legislative session, there are priorities, some old, others new. A few of those on the list: the governor and Republicans are making a big push to pass a right-to-work law, saying it will make the state more attractive to outside businesses. Then there's education, of course. The governor says she wants to bump up teacher pay for a starting threshold of $34,000, and minimum wage is set to be a talker, although the governor didn't mention it. Coming up in our next half hour, Democrats respond. Socorro Republican Don Tripp was sworn in as the New Mexico House Speaker yesterday morning, the first GOP speaker in 60 years. In his first remarks in that role, Tripp said he wants to preside not over a Republican House, but New Mexico's House. In the Senate, Democrat Michael Sanchez will still hold the position of Majority Leader.
A big honor for 2 Barindo Middle School students shot at school. They received a standing ovation during the governor's State of the State address.
You've thankfully seen their beautiful smiles on the news a few times since. This is Kendall Sanders and Nathaniel Devares. We're so grateful to have them here. Let's give them a warm welcome.
And Nathaniel Tavares were in the hospital at this time last year after a school shooting in Roswell. Both have made remarkable recoveries. The shooter, Mason Campbell, was a fellow student who pleaded no contest and will remain behind bars until he's 21. Do stay with News 13 for the very latest on what's happening in the Roundhouse. We have a reporter monitoring this year's legislative session every day. We'll bring the latest to you on air and online at KRQE.com.
A school superintendent is now on paid suspension, but no one will say why. The Belen School Board put Superintendent Ron Marquez on indefinite paid leave last week. The district won't provide any details. We do know Belen schools have had a few controversies over the past few years, including an educational assistant now charged with raping of a student. And that educational assistant is now on paid leave after state police say she had sex with a student at Belen High. State police arrested 34-year-old Victoria Baker last Friday. News 13 learned that Baker and one of her 17-year-old students began a sexual relationship back in November. She's also accused of sending the boy nude pictures of herself and buying him and one of his friends beer. Baker is charged with rape, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and child neglect. The neglect charge stems from Baker allegedly leaving her two young kids home alone.
Members of one community say they're outraged over what a sniper team uses for target practice. These are the photos that they were found using. All of them are actual people arrested in the North Miami Beach, Florida area. After protests last night, the city council members drew up a resolution to ban officers from using images of real people for target practice. The resolution also called for an independent investigation into training procedures. The chief of police, meantime, has suspended the department's sniper training program.
The future of national marijuana laws could be up to one federal judge in Sacramento. For 5 decades, marijuana has been classified at the same level as heroin and cocaine. Now the decision to re-examine the classification comes after a criminal case where defense attorneys for marijuana growers argued that the government enforces marijuana laws unevenly. They say that violates the constitutional guarantee of equal protection. Judge Kimberly Mueller will determine if their claims are spot on. And we begin with an update to breaking news that we've been following all morning long. Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies are searching for an armed suspect in the South Valley at this time. This is a live look from the scene near Rio Bravo and Isleta. Deputies tell us at about 3:30 this morning they were trying to stop a reported stolen car. The driver took off, then crashed near Rio Bravo and Del Rio. As deputies pulled in behind the car, a man got out. They say he shot at deputies. No deputies were injured. However, they have set up a perimeter in that area and are looking for the man. Again, they believe he has a gun. If you see anyone suspicious in that area, you're asked to call 911. At this time, Rio Bravo is closed from Coors to Del Rio in both directions. You are asked to avoid the area. Parents, listen up. We also just spoke with APS officials who say there is no bus service for Barcelona Elementary because of this scene. The school is currently on lockdown and will be starting late this morning. Officials are not sure what time. They will have to be notified by deputies that the area is safe before school starts. Again, we will follow this story all the way through and bring you the very latest on KRQE News 13.
6:33 right now. We're learning more this morning about a shooting that sent an undercover APD officer to the hospital with serious injuries. APD is now telling us 2 undercover detectives were in a black Lexus with 2 drug suspects, and after a while, officers moved in to make an arrest. That's when police say undercover detective Jacob Grant broke cover because a suspect pulled a pellet gun out. Right now, the 2 suspects are not facing weapons charges and have not been charged with assault on a peace officer. Police say they have not been able to interview Detective Grant about the incident because he's still in critical condition at UNM Hospital.
Lawmakers are back in the Roundhouse in Santa Fe this morning. This year, there is a whole lot to tackle, including education. The governor says she wants to bump up teacher pay for a starting threshold of $34,000, and she wants to help teachers with teachers.
Pair exemplary teachers with struggling ones. And in doing so, we can make big gains.
The governor and Republicans are also making a big push to pass a right-to-work law. She believes by letting people choose to opt out of a union. It'll make the state more attractive to outside businesses. But some Dems disagree. Senate Majority Leader Michael Sanchez, he is a Democrat, says he will do whatever it takes to stop that in its tracks.
Basically what it is anti-worker legislation, and they know that.
Also on the table, minimum wage, although the governor did not mention it in her State of the State address. An Albuquerque veteran and entrepreneur was there at the President's State of the Union address last night. Andres Lazo was a guest of Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham. Lazo is a Purple Heart recipient who served in the U.S. Army as a ranger in Iraq. KRQE featured Lazo in a story 2 years ago about his mission to help other military veterans. He's now a UNM business graduate. His small business, called Maker Kind, was named one of the winners in the first CNM Ignite Business Accelerator. It creates a business boot camp program geared toward military veterans. And we have the entire State of the State online at KRQE.com, and we'll keep you updated on what lawmakers are doing that affects you on air and, of course, online during the legislative session. That's where you'll find full coverage throughout this year's session.
Time is 6:35. President Obama travels to Idaho today, just hours after delivering his State of the Union address. He's taking his ideas on the road. Last night, during his 6th State of the Union address, the president called on the new Republican-led Congress to help the middle class with proposals they're sure they may end up voting down. Many of these are designed to benefit the middle class, raising the minimum wage, free community college tuition, and extending paid family leave. His plan calls for closing tax breaks for the wealthy. The newly elected Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa delivered the Republican response, targeting tax hikes.
We'll propose ideas that aim to cut wasteful spending and balance the budget with meaningful reforms, not higher taxes like the president has proposed.
Ernst maintained efforts to roll back the Affordable Care Act. She also challenged President Obama to sign legislation to fast-track the Keystone XL pipeline. It's a move the White House has said the president will veto. A woman walking her dog is critically injured after being hit by a truck, and that dog was killed. It happened at Wyoming and Anaheim on Tuesday morning. The woman was crossing Anaheim when the truck turned onto Anaheim from Wyoming and hit her. Police say they don't know where the woman was going, but the North Domingo Baca Dog Park is just a block away from the scene. Police say they don't think drugs or alcohol were a factor in that crash. So far, the driver has not been charged. It is day 2 of jury selection in the Colorado theater shooting trial. It's expected to take weeks for lawyers to sift through the 9,000 potential jurors. It's an unprecedented number. The panel will ultimately decide if suspect James Holmes was sane at the time 12 people were killed and 70 others were injured in July 2012, and whether he should face the death penalty if convicted.
Could you just imagine 9,000 people?
9,000 people. Obviously, they're probably not all showing up at once, but that's a massive amount of people.
That is.
Yeah.
Listen to this story. An estranged husband is accused of going to extreme measures to show his wife how angry he was. Police say this man rented an excavator and tore down his wife's house in New York. Everything inside was obviously destroyed. This is what it looked like before, but this could have been much worse. The husband failed to notify utilities about his intended destruction. That means electric and gas services, they had to be turned off by emergency crews. He's now charged with felony criminal mischief.
This looks like a tornado went through there. Wow. Good grief.
Unbelievable. Okay, we've all done this before, right? Eating on the run, even behind the wheel sometimes, but should it be against the law? A man in Georgia says he got a ticket over it. According to the ticket, the officer wrote Madison Turner up under the distracted driving law. Under the remarks, the officer wrote eating while driving. Turner is obviously fighting that ticket. You know, you can't be distracted if you're chomping on a burger.
I guess you can, but I was going to say I'd have so many tickets if
if
that
that
was
were the case.
Caught, you know, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Can you believe that?